So this is the 54th Octagonal, the all-media show. The first one started in 1968 at the Octagon, and it's been an annual juried all-media show since then. It's had various names over time. It was like the clay and paper show for a while, and then it was like the clay, paper, and fiber show, and then it was the fiberglass, paper, metal, something. And a few years ago we changed it to Octagonal, so we maybe didn't have all of those media in the title, but all of the media are still represented in the show. It's like the first holiday of the gallery season for me. So on Sunday, Vivian and I unpacked everything, and a lot of, since the show is national, there's a lot of art that comes in from other states, and so it's mailed in, and you literally get to unpackage all of this beautiful work and get it out and look at it closely, because you've only seen it in photos up until that point. And so it's probably one of my most favorite parts of the entire year in the gallery, is unpackaging the work for Octagonal.
I've never hung a show with this many pieces of this many different media, so being able to see what was selected by the juror and what all was submitted that we actually got to see outside of just the few pieces that were selected, that's been really neat.
Yeah.
And to be able to hang things next to each other that are so different and figure out how they go with each other and how that's going to create the experience for everyone that comes into the gallery. It was a holiday. The person told me it was going to be a holiday.
We worked on a holiday.
And it was.
It was fun, yeah. One of the more challenging things, I mean, there's always a point where you're moving the artwork around the space and you're trying to figure out what goes next to what, and what feels right and what doesn't feel right. So when I'm doing it, I consider the size of the pieces, I consider the media, I consider texture, form, I consider the content. I look at different things like light and dark and saturation, and if something is very colorful or if something's not colorful at all. And I think about all of those things when I'm arranging the work around the space. And you always get to a point where you're almost there, but you're not quite there. You kind of have to dig in a little bit and just make some decisions, but then you also always just have to feel it in your gut. Your gut will tell you if it's wrong. Having done this the first time, how do you feel about it?
I think maybe that was the most challenging part, but also I thought that was the most exciting part.
Yeah, it is.
Because it is like a puzzle.
It is like a puzzle.
Which was fun to look around and see what all the pieces are and what might go next to each other, and then figure out how to make those small changes.
Yeah. For this show in particular, we have a large number. I'd say there's three big categories. There's a lot of abstract work. There's a lot of figural work, so portraits, and then we also have a few figural 3D pieces, and then there's a lot of landscape. And so making sure that all of those things were kind of equally dispersed around the space was important, and challenging at times when we were like, oh shoot, we have a whole bunch of landscapes that need to still go on the wall, and then moving things around a little bit to accommodate that, so that they weren't all like right next to each other. This show in particular has those three. That the juror just, that's what she chose, and so trying to basically unpack everything in a day, spread it all out and look at it, and then decide where it's going to go. It is like a big puzzle. You always have the ones that throw you for a loop. Whether the artist maybe didn't follow all the guidelines for hanging equipment on the back of the piece, or maybe the piece is weighted differently, so you have to be careful on how you're setting it into space or hanging it on the wall.
It was cool to see, I guess, the mixture of, so we're hanging everything gallery standard, to be able to make sure that everything fits, especially with so much different media and sizes and all of that. So figuring out kind of those rules that help us make sure that it all gets in the space, but there's a mixture of that, and then also going with your gut a little bit and being able to experience the art as someone who's gonna come into the gallery, to have that view at the same time as following those structures that are in place to make sure we can, it all fits.
Yeah,
geometric weight.
The one thing about this job that I never expected is we use math. So I do math, simple math, granted. I'm not a mathematician over here, but simple math to actually figure out how to hang the work to gallery standard around the space, and people maybe don't realize that. Like, so when you come into a gallery and you're like, oh man, this looks so, you know, nice and orderly, and like there seems like there's a rhythm to it. Well, there's a rhythm to it because we do math to hang all the pieces so that the center point of every piece on the wall is at the same height. And they're all equally spaced apart, depending on how many pieces are on the wall. We do math to figure out how much white space should be between each piece. There's a mix of kind of feeling how the work is in the space and being in the space and spatially how it all lays out around you. And then there's a mix of like orderliness that comes through literally doing addition and simple division. So the really wonderful thing about this show in particular is it's a wide range of artists, a wide range of media. And I think the other thing that's really neat too is you can come in and you can experience the art that's on the wall and not necessarily know who the artist is or about them personally, or you know, their demographics or anything like that, but you get to experience a little bit of them because of what they've made. And I think that's really cool.
And I always think it's fun when there are arts, events, and programming that showcase such a wide variety of different media and sizes and topics and themes and in the stories that are being told in this art. Because I think one thing I've learned more and more over the past several years is just that different kinds of creations and storytelling are going to speak to different people. So a show like this is great if you want to come check out the community gallery. There's a lot of different options to find something that, you know, you want to look at and experience.
43 different stories told by 41 different
40
people.
artists, yeah.
Yeah, 40 artists, yeah.